Imagine your calendar as a heat map, not just a to-do list, but a visual map of when your energy is highest and those bright hot spots where you're at your sharpest and most focused throughout the day. I call this the operating infrastructure. It's the system, the rhythm, the foundation that supports everything I do week after week. You've probably tried time blocking, time batching, task batching, the whole shebang, and those tools are absolutely amazing. But here's the thing that most people never really account for: their energy. Today, I'm going to walk you through how I create my own operating infrastructure, what that looks like, and how you can create your own energy heat map to design a week that protects your energy, not just your time. Before I started working this way, my schedule was all over the place. Every to-do, every obligation, it was task galore and really overwhelming. Everything felt urgent. But when I shifted to designing a calendar around my energy and creating these sort of heat maps, if you will, I could plug into, everything changed. Suddenly, I wasn't just managing my time, I was managing the fuel behind my work, the system behind the system. And that made all the difference in sustaining my momentum without burning out. So let's get into it. Step one is to map your peak energy hours. Pay attention to when your energy throughout the day naturally peaks. When do you feel most clear, most strategic, most naturally inclined to do the work? For me, that's typically in the early mornings through the mid-afternoons. So I plug in deep strategic work into those places. Now, even if you only have 2 or 3 of these high energy hours, it's critical to use them for your most important, most high leverage work, not the small tasks or the low impact busy work. This is the foundation of your operating infrastructure, knowing your hot zones so you can invest your best energy where it counts most. Step 2, match your tasks to said energy zones. Layer your work into these zones, plug them in. Put your most creative, high impact tasks into these high energy windows. And in your lower energy times, I recommend holding intentional white space. Sometimes that might look like you continuing to flow with work into these spaces, but other times they might hold time for movement, reset, connection, nothing, whatever you need. And that's the point. The white space is not wasted. I believe it to be a structural part of the operating infrastructure that helps your creativity, your focus, your genius breathe. And maybe most importantly, at least for me, it keeps us from sprinting in a marathon, right? It keeps us from sprinting when the goal is to run the marathon well. And I'm not saying there won't be some sprints, right? But for me, at least, building a business, it is a marathon. And I think in life, it is a marathon. Anything we're creating, we're building, we can't sprint the whole duration, right? I digress. Moving on. Step 3 is to build in time for replenishment. This system needs to be responsive, not rigid. You want it to grow, flex, evolve with you, not hold you into a container, right? So for example, I'm naturally lower energy on Fridays. Therefore, I don't take calls. I don't hold myself to really high impact strategic work. This buffer allows me not only to close the week strong, reflect, adjust, but it also gives me space to recover. And if I feel up to it, continue my creative flow. And that's the point. The point is for the structure to support both your momentum and your recovery. On a larger note here, typically when we're filling our calendars with things, they don't always involve recovery, and recovery is strategic. It is part of the process. You need it to return tomorrow at your best, right? You need recovery to solidify a net positive every single day, right? You want to keep showing up sustained and maintained in your best, right? Not the energy crash sort of energy that sometimes when we're sprinting, we can get stuck in. Does that make sense? I hope it does. But anyway, so build in time for replenishment. For me, I do that Fridays, but it's also the white space throughout my calendar. Step 4, build in and protect think tank time before the inputs come in, before the world, the calls, the emails, the projects. I love and swear by taking time to think with me, myself, and I. No noise, no demands, just me, my vision, and whatever ideas need to surface. This has become a daily ritual, and I believe a key part of the operating infrastructure, because not only does it allow you to anchor, reassociate more deeply into your vision or your big hard goals or questions that you're working through, but it sets the tone for everything that follows, right? It sets direction for the day. So even if you take 5 minutes of intentional thought in the morning before you begin your day, it can change the quality of the entire day. Now, I think a lot of us, we wake up sort of reactive. We check our phone, we begin work, and there's nothing wrong with that if you love it, right? Like some days I love to start my work right away. But when it's coming from a more reactive place and it gets you in that mood, the day kind of runs you versus the other way around. So this is a very intentional way of running your day, of setting the direction, of shaping your time. Step 5. Let structure support your flow. This is not about rigid control whatsoever. It's about creating an operating infrastructure that supports how you naturally work best. Now, I love what I do. I'm obsessed. I could work for hours on end, and I have. But that can get really hard to manage energy-wise, going back to the go, stop, crash sort of energy. But with this heat mapped rhythm, it keeps me clear, it keeps me focused, it keeps me performing at my best over the long term, every single day. I can show up every single day from my best because I have it all dialed in, right? And that's a strategic advantage. And that's what I'm sharing. So when your calendar works like this energy heat map, you're not just organizing your time, you are protecting the fuel that drives everything. You are protecting the system behind the system, because you are the foundation of all that you do and all that you will do, right? You've got to keep yourself strong. You've got to keep yourself running optimally. This is the sort of strategic work we do within the Blue Sky Way. By designing your week around this energy heat map, if you will, you create space to sustain performance without sacrificing your well-being. This isn't just another productivity hack, it's foundational leadership. It is self-management, and it's how you show up fully for the work and the people that need you most. In my line of work, I work with a lot of servant leaders, and they absolutely swear by this operating infrastructure. It has changed their days. It has changed how they think about themselves, how they feel. They feel they're much more accountable, even much more in flow. They get so much more done. And so this was very strongly on my heart to share. I think everyone can benefit from this. If you try mapping your own energy heat map this week, I'd love to hear what shifts for you. If it shifts your focus, if it shifts your flow, feel free to drop me a comment, connect however feels good for you. And thanks for tuning in and listening to the Blue Sky Way. I am so grateful for you. Here's to building weeks that not just organize us, they energize us. To your continued success, friends. Be well and talk to you soon.